What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. This is where I like to take a second to remind you guys to hit that subscribe button, ring the bell for future uploads, like and comment on this video. Alright guys, next up on the turntable we've got this cheap off-brand, no name, what appears to be a Chevrolet. As you can see, the axles are completely destroyed on this one. It used to be a lifted 4x4 truck, and I think what we're going to do with this one is, if not lower it, I mean, we're definitely going to lower it. Whether or not I just go with like a standard truck height on it or slam it a little bit, I think that's definitely the direction I'm going to go. Definitely not going to do another 4x4 style out of it. I particularly like the lowered trucks a little bit better myself versus the 4x4. So that's what we'll be doing with this one. You can see it's it's just a cheap one, so it looks like it's got some pretty nasty casting lines in it, and we'll have to clean those up pretty well. We'll go ahead and get rid of the KC looking light bar here in the back, and you can see when it spins back around it's got a hole right above the handle for the tailgate. I'm not sure if it had some kind of little top on the back of the truck or not, or what that hole was for, but we'll probably have to go ahead and fill that in. Other than that, it's not a very pretty one to look at right now, but hopefully it will make it a little bit better to enjoy for your viewing pleasure. I do have this one already drilled apart, so I'll pull it apart real quick and show you guys what we're working with, and then we'll go from there. Hang tight. Alright, and here it is all dismantled. As usual, you got your die-cast metal body here. You can see where that light bar was in the back of the bed there. Again, it's got two more holes right here, and then the one in the tailgate right above the handle, so it makes me think that there was some kind of bed cover or a camper top or something like that attached to it. Feels pretty solid even for a little cheap one. And you got your light bar. Like I said, we'll go ahead and probably just trash that. I'm not going to use that since it's not going to be a 4x4 anymore. You got your little windshield here. It's going to need some cleaning and polishing to get that back in decent looking shape. You got your interior, little bench seat for a truck, steering wheel, not a whole lot to it. Clean that up pretty good and see how it comes out. If need be, we'll go ahead and repaint that depending on the color of the truck. It'll probably just end up being black again. And you can see you got your busted up wheels and axles back here. I mean, the wheels are, they could be used for something else, like a Gaslands build or something like that. Not that I ever really do those. I see a lot of people doing them. They look pretty fun. Maybe one of these days I'll attempt it, but either way. Then you got your really cheap chassis, plastic chassis back here. And being that it's a 4x4 chassis, I'm probably going to end up having to make my own chassis to do a lowered or a slammed version of this truck. And what I'll end up probably having to do is cutting this grill with the headlights and the front bumper off, as well as the back bumper, and then attaching that to my new base. So that's pretty much it for now. I'm going to get it in the stripper and get the paint removed off of it and see how bad this thing looks, see how much work I've got ahead of myself as far as sanding down the casting lines. Doesn't look too bad from most of it. A lot of it looks like it's right around here, around the windows and stuff, but that paint can hide a good bit, so we'll get it stripped down, take a better look at it, and we'll see what's up. Alright guys, stick around. Alright guys, so as you can see, I've got the casting stripped down, got pretty much most of the paint removed. It did give me some trouble, especially back here in the bed area, as well as up under the casting. up here on the inside of the roof and inside the wheel wells. Didn't want to come out of there. But there was also some other areas, along these door panels and stuff that I just went ahead and took care of with the wire brush. But for the most part, I got everything out of it that I really needed to, because my plan is still to put a bed cover over this because, like I was saying earlier, I'm not going to go back with those KC lights and that big light bar that was in the back of it, so I'll have to cover this area. And I'm also planning on lowering it. I think I've decided I'm definitely going to lower it, and that being the case, I'm going to have to get rid of these wheel wells back here in the bed of the truck too. So again, the plan is still to go ahead and put a bed cover on it, and still going to have to fill in this hole, probably use some JB weld to take care of that. The casting lines on this one are really pretty rough. I mean, it's a cheap casting, so I kind of pretty much expected that, but for the most part, they are right along these door frames in the windows. It's really thick, and especially right here across the top of the quarter panel in the front, it's extremely thick. I don't think you can really tell on video, but I'm gonna have to do a pretty good bit of sanding and filing to smooth that out, especially right there across that top corner panel. And then these are pretty bad right through here. So again, it's a cheap casting. I'll do what I can do with it and get everything as smooth as I can and cleaned up the best that I can. As always, we'll clean up the window frames. And this front pillar here looks like it's got a very slight bend in it. I can't tell if it was bent or if it's just the cheap casting. It looks like it, honestly, it looks like it's just from the cheap casting, but I'm just gonna knock that back in just a little bit, just slightly. If you kind of look at it in the front, you can kind of see just a little bit of a bow in it right there. But either way, again, it's a cheap casting, so I'll do what I can with it. Right across the front, it's got some nasty casting marks on it across there, so I'll smooth those out. That'll be pretty easy to take care of. As far as the body itself, other than these front quarter panels, the rest of it's actually pretty decent, pretty smooth. It's got some rough areas. Sorry guys, I'm not even looking through the camera. I'm looking at the casting itself, but right across the back here, you can see it's really rough. So we'll have to take care of that, smooth that out the best I can. That shouldn't be too bad. Might end up with a little bit of divot right there, but I can fill that in with some putty or something, so I'm not too worried about it. But other than that, I'll get it sanded, filed, and filled in where it needs to be, and start doing the chops on the body. I got myself a jeweler saw for Christmas, so that should make a little bit easier work to taking out these rear wheel wells here. And then I'll be back to show you guys some progress and what I've done to it, and what I've used to accomplish what I accomplished. So stick around, we'll be back. Alright guys, wanted to give you a little bit of an update on where I'm at with this square body here. At least that's what I think it is, a square Chevrolet. You can see I've taken care of the front quarter panels here. Got rid of those nasty casting lines that were across here. They are completely gone, nice and smooth now. That actually came out pretty good. And then as far as the window frames, I did what I could. I mean, again, I showed you earlier, these things were just absolutely horrible, and in my honest opinion, they are still pretty bad. But I did, file them and sand them down the best that I could, and I feel like once I get some primer and some paint on it, it'll actually look a little bit better. I'm not going to promise you they're going to look great. It's still probably going to look pretty rough around those edges, but it will look a little bit better. You can see this side is not quite as bad, but it's still pretty rough. And also cleaned up the window frames like I usually do. Cleaned up this front area right above the grill, right on the hood here. It was pretty rough. Got that taken care of. And then you can see I went ahead and chopped out the wheel wells so that we can get this thing lowered a little bit. And also took care of the back of the cab. Hands in the way, sorry. Remember I showed you guys earlier it was pretty rough back here, especially right through here. Went ahead and cleaned that up, smoothed those down the best that I could. Also got the this front A-pillar knocked back in just a little bit. It doesn't look like it was ever like stepped on or mashed, you know, up here or anything. Usually that's what'll bend those out, is if this gets stepped on or something like that. It gets mashed down. It'll usually bend those out. But again, I think it's just a horrible cheap casting, and that's what that was from. But I was able to just kind of knock that back in a little bit. And let's see, got that hole in the tailgate filled in. That actually came out pretty well. Used some of my Tamiya putty on that. Pretty happy with the way that came out, and got it sanded down. Actually, you know, I got it nice and flat up through here, and it's actually still got the strip coming across here, and then nice and flat again down here. So I think, again, once I get some paint and primer on it, it's not going to look terrible, but it'll actually be pretty nice. And then, you know, the usual tools that I usually use, the little files I picked up at Harbor Freight, and the just the little fingernail files you pick up in the woman's makeup section. You can see it's got the rounded edge down here, and you know, basically what I did was just chopped it in half to give myself a nice square end to work with, and that works great. You know, if you want to get into like these areas like this and sand across here. I know people probably come by and see me standing in the makeup section and wonder what I'm doing. Probably think I'm a cross dresser or something, but guarantee you guys that's not what's going on here. Anyway, that's pretty much about it. I'll get this thing in some primer and let you guys see what it looks like in the primer before I throw paint on it. Again, hopefully that's gonna make some of these areas look a little bit better. Probably won't be, you know, 100%, but I think it'll look a little bit better. I mean, I know typically when you prime something, it shows the areas that are still really ugly for the most part, but we'll see. I'll let you guys check it out and let you be the judge. Alright guys, I got some more progress I want to share with you before I get too much further into the build. You can see we've pretty much got the truck pretty cleaned up. I think I told you earlier I'd show it to you next up in the primer, but before I hit it with the primer, I wanted to show you guys, went ahead and made the custom bed cover for it. Got that in place, ready to go. And like I mentioned, had to make a custom base for it. You can see here I've got the back bumper glued onto the custom base here that I made. And I was going to glue the front bumper on, which I actually did, I think, like 3 times, and it just wasn't sitting right on the truck once I put it all together. So I think ultimately what I'm going to have to do with that is glue it to the front of the truck once I'm done. You know, once I get the paint job on the truck, I'm actually just going to glue it into place. Sorry, I'm not even showing you guys on camera. I'm going to have to glue it into place here. But I don't think that's going to be a big issue. Should work out just fine. And you can see I've got some axle tubes in here on the base. That's what we'll run my axles through. And pretty much other than that, just got it chopped down, ready to go, so it can so the truck will be lowered when I'm finished with it. So far it's fitting together pretty nicely. It took me quite a while to make that base. Um, I've mentioned I've lowered trucks a little bit before, and it's one thing to take a already made base and chop it down like this, so you can fit the wheels in closer and drop it down a little bit. But got to be honest with you guys, just actually making a base from scratch was pretty challenging. Um, I mean, it wasn't hard, but it took a lot of cutting and fitting and all that good stuff. But it was fun, I mean, it was a good challenge. It'll hopefully make it a little bit easier next time I get ready to do one if I have to. So pretty happy with the way it's come out so far. And you know, with the base and the custom bed cover, I just used this sheet of styrene. This one is actually 1 millimeter thick. I had to go by and pick some of this up because the stuff I had was 2 millimeters thick, and it was just a little bit too thick for not only the making the new chassis, it was also a little too thick to do that, to use as the bed cover to get my wheels to fit up in there. It would have been too thick. The wheels would have rubbed the top of it. So ended up picking up some 1 millimeter, and that worked out perfect. And then got the interior cleaned up. Pretty sure I'm just going to leave it black. Don't think I'm going to do too much to that. And then I also cleaned up the windshield so far just with soap and water. You can see it's got some scratches in the front there. Got some stuff going on in the back. Probably go ahead and hit that with 600 grit and then a 2000 grit sandpaper. And then once I'm done with that, I'll dip it in the pledge, give it that nice shine to it. But well, I'll probably also in between the sandpaper and the pledge, I'll polish it with the same stuff I use to polish everything else. And I'll just take a Q-tip and polish it out as good as I can, and then I'll dip it in the pledge, and it should come out looking pretty nice. But before I hit it with the primer, I just wanted to show you guys everything. So again, here's the base with the bumper glued to it, the back bumper. I'm going to go ahead and shoot this base in black. And then I've got the front grille just glued to a stick here so that I can get that to focus for you a little bit. So I can get that to, so I can hold it while I paint it. Also I'm going to shoot that in a black primer, and then I'll probably go back with a gloss black on the front here, the grille and the bumper, as well as the rear and the chassis here, because once I'm done, I'll probably leave the chassis black, but I'm going to chrome out the grille and the front bumper as well as the back bumper. But either way, just wanted to share a little bit of that with you guys before I got too far into it and you couldn't really see much of it. So next up, you'll definitely see it in the primer. I don't know, I'll probably even just skip that part, to be honest with you, because really all I've got left to do is what I've just mentioned, and laying the paint job down on it. So probably skip that part and just show you guys the end result once I'm finished with it. Stick around, stay tuned, I will be back. Alright guys, here it is all finished up. As you can see, I did it in the Gulf livery. That's the decals that I chose to go with on this one. You guys know I really love my Gulf vehicles a lot. Really have a good time doing custom Gulf cars. So, I think I mentioned earlier I've seen some Gulf livery stuff where the paint job was sort of like this. I think they used a Spectra Flame or a candy paint for the blue and the orange. But you guys know I really like my metallics a lot, so that's what I went with on this one. Got a metallic orange for the bottom strip there, as well as the back bumper, front bumper, and the front grille. I think I mentioned earlier I was going to chrome that stuff out, but once I got the truck painted, I decided I wanted some more orange on it. So I went ahead and did the the bumpers and the grill, like I said. And of course, got a nice set of rubber wheels for it with the orange Gulf rims on it. Set of Bridgestones. And then you've got a metallic white as well as that metallic blue up top. And that's the custom bed cover. You can also see that glass cleaned up very nicely. It's got a little tiny crack in it right above the passenger side. But other than that, I mean, it turned out fantastic. It was pretty beat up before, mostly just dirty and scratched up. But of course, I sanded it down with a couple of different grits. I think I started with the 600 and then finished it with a 2000 grit sandpaper, and then I polished it just with some plastic polish. I think I might have showed it to you guys earlier. It's the stuff that you would use on car headlights to bring back the shine to them, get all that fogginess and that haziness out of them after they've been out in the weather for a long time. But either way, you can see I got the brake lights detailed, just a little bit of detail on the front, the headlights, and you can see that where I filled in the holes in the back of the truck looks pretty nice. You can still kind of see where the hole was, but or at least the one up top, the spot where the actual, what I believe to be the where the tailgate handle actually should have been or was on this particular casting, that filled in really nicely. And you can look at it here. You can kind of see at the top, right at the bottom of the blue strip, that it's you can see where that hole there was. But I think it turned out nicely. I think it now looks like that's the tailgate handle where it should be. And I'll give you guys a quick shot of the custom chassis, or in this case really just a base that I did for it. It's nothing special, but I think it turned out pretty nicely for my very first custom base. I've never made one of these before, so I think it worked pretty well. You know, it's definitely a learning experience. Maybe if I have to do another one, it'll get a little bit better. And then since it was just so plain down there, you know, flat, you know, no detail or anything, I decided to just throw all my logos on there. D's Custom Diecast Restoration. You got my YouTube channel logo there, and then my Instagram logo there. But yeah, I'm very, very happy with this one. I think it turned out fantastic. Definitely a far cry from where it started. You know, if you remember, it was a 4x4 truck, and you can see I've got it lowered down. Personally, I like trucks either stock height or lowered versus a 4x4 look. I'm not big into the 4x4 trucks. I mean, I buy them, and you know, I got some in my collection, but personally I like the lowered look a little bit better, especially on these square bodies. And also think I mentioned in the beginning of the video that I believe this is a Chevrolet square body. From the looks of the grill and just the body itself, that's what it looks like to me. I could be wrong. If any of you guys know better, feel free to leave a comment and let me know. But I think that's what it is. I was going to put some Chevrolet decals on it, but they were black, and personally I just didn't think that they were going to look good with the color scheme that I've got going on it. Plus, in the case that it's not a Chevrolet, I didn't want to plaster Chevrolet all over it. But again, I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Either way, it's pretty much going to wrap it up for you guys. Hope you enjoyed another video. I do appreciate each and every one of you for stopping in and checking it out. And as always, I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.